everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. I am coming to you today from the front of my house. I am going to be working in this big garden bed. This faces west, just as a point of reference. And this is a garden task that I have put off for a couple of years, but I am going to be so glad that I did it. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I don't know if you're like me, but don't you have those hopes and dreams for your garden that you know are going to be a great thing to do, but because it's going to require quite a lot of work, you just like, okay, that'll be for another year. And that's precisely what's happened in this case. But here I am, I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to show you how I'm going to transform this bed into a way to showcase some beautiful summer annuals. Before I get into the doing of this garden project, I'm going to ask everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate your support as I get to meet more gardeners just like you. So I want to share with you how I'm transforming this bed. The very first thing I think I'll do with you is I will grab the camera and I'm going to do a little walk down the front of the house. Those of you that follow my channel and have seen my garden tours, you might be familiar with this west facing side of our house and what's already planted here. But for those that are new to the channel, I think it'll orient you to where this big project is going to take place. You're going to notice the front of our house, we've kept it pretty basic, meaning it's sort of on the more formal side. We've got boxwoods, we've got gorgeous roses, we've got some clematis. Jackmanii just started to bloom yesterday. We've got some more shrubs. This is a spirea. I can't recall the variety. We've got some more evergreens here. And we have an oh so easy Italian ice rose that is just trying to form its first buds of the season. I'll try to get in there really close. I'll put a picture on the screen so you can see how magnificent this is in full bloom. And here's the main bed that we're going to be working on. I have two North Pole arborvitaes that my sweet son installed for me last summer that flank either side of this window. Something I haven't shared with you yet is this is a brand new David Austin rose I just planted about a week ago, Sceptered Isle. This rose will get 5 feet tall and 4 foot wide and will fill in this area nicely. Let me just pan over here real quick. Here is another rose that's new to my garden. I only planted this rose probably 10 days ago, and this is the Julia Child rose. It is a beautiful, beautiful yellow rose. It came with a bunch of blooms. I've gone ahead and deadheaded those off, and then it will flush out more blooms pretty soon. And then, of course, one of my favorite spring flowering trees that we have on our property, and that would be the Leonard Messel magnolia tree. So step one of this huge process was for me to remove landscape fabric, and there's a little remnant. I did not film for you for today. I didn't do this today. I actually did this removal project yesterday, and I'm going to throw up a video on the screen now that I can talk to you a little bit about what you're seeing. But basically, my decision was to remove the landscape fabric under here in the 4 feet from the edge, from the garden bed edge back. I've left it under some of these sort of permanent landscape plantings. And I think that's just fine because I am not intending to move these arborvitaes, or, I could move the roses, and I've cut, of course, big X's and was able to plant them in. But most of this still has landscape fabric under it, except where I've planted something new. But I did want the opportunity here to plant sort of a little river of summer annuals to just give this area a pop of color. And I also love the idea, because I like change, of switching up my annuals from year to year in this bed. So that's what my job was yesterday afternoon. I did that. I did not film me huffing and puffing and trying to get it done, but hopefully you'll get the idea. It is not an easy job, but I am so happy that I got it finished. So as I mentioned, step one for the project was for me to remove the mulch, remove all of that landscape fabric so that I can plant some annuals. So that hard part is done. So the next step after that would be to amend this 4 foot wide, and it's about 16, 17 feet long, with some good high quality raised bed mix. This is leftover, these buckets here, the leftover raised bed mix that we used when we installed our new Birdie's raised beds in our vegetable garden. So because I am renovating the front part of this garden bed, I actually was really inspired by a video I recently watched by Jim Putnam. If you don't know who he is, you need to subscribe to his channel. It's I think it's called HortTube. I'll make sure I put a link to his YouTube channel in the description below. But basically, he talks about how you need to make sure for annual plants that are going in the ground, you amend this part of the bed. If it's a old bed like this one that is got heavy clay soil like ours does, he talks about the fact that annuals need to get roots going, send out lots of roots quickly, and they need softer, loftier soil to do that. It's not like when you plant your arborvitaes or a rose, a bush or a tree or a perennial that you don't care. It can take 2 or 3 years for it to really establish roots. When you're popping annuals in the ground like these, you need them to reach through that soil easily and quickly to establish themselves so that they can show off for you in your garden all summer long. I've turned the camera around just so you can see some of the supplies I'm going to need for today's project. So here are those buckets of the raised bed mix that will be going down the length of this bed. And again, I think I measured it off. It's about 16 feet or so long. I've got some Land and Sea gourmet compost there. I don't need a lot of compost, but I will put some around each individual plant. I don't need a lot of that because my raised bed mix has a lot of great compost and organic material in it. I'm going to be popping in the planting holes this wonderful slow release fertilizer from Proven Winners. I've talked about it a fair amount. And these gorgeous Super Petunia Vista petunias need lots of food to put on a show. I might use my auger as an easy way to drill the holes. And here's a little remnant of the landscape fabric that I pulled out of the bed yesterday. All right, well, let me give you a close-up here in just a minute of the plants that are going to go in, and then I'm going to set up the camera and get to work. Those of you that follow my channel should not be surprised at my choice of annuals for this new installment, but I have to share with you anyways, those that are new to my channel. Without a doubt, the Proven Winners Super Petunia petunias are my very, very favorite because they never fail. Absolutely, I've never had a fail ever growing these gorgeous, full of color petunias. These two that I'm going to put in the landscape are from the Vista series. And so if you see Super Petunia Vista on anything, plant tags or online, they're biggest growers. They get enormous. Now the tag says full to part sun, and it says 12 to 24 inches. In the landscape, mine easily get 36 inches. So I'm going to probably space them about 2.5 feet apart because I do want in this little river that I'm creating with Super Petunias, I do want them to sort of touch. I don't want them to be like polka dots in the landscape. So I want them close enough that they'll maybe touch as they grow in. So I'm planting the OG, the original, most famous of all Super Petunia Vistas, and that would be this beautiful bubble gum. Lovely, lovely pink. I mean, you can see these from a mile away, even though they're not like, I've grown Paradise, which is great too, but they're a really saturated, almost hot pink. This is a soft pink, but bright at the same time, if that makes any sense, with a little blue undertone. And silverberry, also a great companion. It is a really pale, pale pink with some pink, deeper pink veining right in the throat. So I just think this is going to be marvelous. That step was pretty easy, just hauling the buckets. They were a little heavy, but so glad to have that leftover raised bed mix that I could just pour into this area. Got my little rake out and smoothed it out a little bit, and I have gone ahead and set out the Supertunia Vistas, and I'm going to alternate. So bubblegum, silverberry, and bubblegum. I have one silverberry left over, and I'm going to actually plant it under the Jackmanii clematis that is just down the way here a little bit. So that'll kind of bridge the gap between that end of the front of our house and this end. So I'm going to grab the camera and get in close because I want you to see how I've spaced them. And then all that's left for me to do is to drill those holes, add that slow release fertilizer, backfill, lay the drip, water them in, and then mulch. So I have to say, I feel sorry for the little birdies because when I had removed all that landscape fabric yesterday afternoon to get this bed started, I have had loads of birds here because this is super healthy soil. Even though there's some clay in it, it is loaded with worms. So if you have worms in your soil, count yourself lucky. That is a really good sign of soil health. Okay. So let's get a little close up. As I mentioned to you, I'm going to space them about 2.5 feet apart. And what I did, actually, not just today, but a while ago to kind of help me with my planning, is I stuck in these little landscape staples. Can you see those? I stuck them in about 2.5 feet apart and far enough in from the grass so that if they really do get to be 3 foot in diameter, they should all fit. And actually, I think it's going to be pretty cool that they will sort of, if they fill in like that, they'll get a little bit tucked up under these green North Pole arborvitaes and my beautiful sceptered isle David Austin rose. So I think that will be a really great benefit. So yeah, just wanted you to see a nice tip that I like to share. If you can see that landscape staple there, is to put things kind of where you think you want them to go, or at least little flags or staples or some kind of markers, so that you can, leave them there for 2 or 3 days if you have that kind of time, so that you can really contemplate, is that going to be the proper spacing or not, especially in a bed like this that's more formal. In other beds, it's just fun, be creative, throw stuff where you want it. But for me, I think to make this decision on where they're going to go, it was really helpful for me to kind of mark out using those little landscape staples. All right, now the fun part, getting them in the ground. So for those of you lucky enough to not have to plant in clay soil, let me show you what that looks like. Let's see if I can get a nice close-up shot. Do you see all those curly cues? Yeah, that represents the clay soil. But you know what? I'm amending this with raised bed mix and some compost. And so over time, it's just going to help improve the soil over and over again. So now, slow release fertilizer and compost in and around those holes, and then I'll pop those beautiful Supertunia Vista petunias in the ground. I mean, they're already beautiful and they haven't even grown in yet. I could not be happier. They're going to be so, so pretty as they fill in and create this river of pinks. And oh, I just think it's going to be great. So I need to get drip laid down. My husband tapped in a big long strip of 1/4 inch drip. It has emitters every 6 inches. So I'm going to get that around these beautiful petunias. Our arbs are on drip. All of my rose bushes are on drip irrigation. So I'll kind of monitor how these do versus what our other plants are needing. But roses like water. Arbs enjoy water, and supertunias, they don't want to be soaking wet, but they do pretty good with water. So I need to get that done, and then I'll have a few other comments to make before we finish up today's project. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today as I finally tackled this garden project of creating a little river of color in the front of this established border in the front of our house. A couple of things to think about. Oh, hello, Hummer. Oh, a couple of things to think about. Supertunia Vista, Supertunias, any kind of big flowering annuals need regular fertilizer. Even though I put the fertilizer in the hole, I am going to come in every Friday like I do with all of my summering annuals, and I will give them a low dose water soluble fertilizer. Check out some of my other videos on how to do that. It's just super simple. You just mix it up in your water, and once a week they get a little gourmet dinner so that they can continue to pump out flowers. I hope today's video was interesting and maybe even inspiring to some of you to consider how you can infuse and include some annuals in your established borders and tackle those jobs that you've been putting off. I think it's going to really produce some beauty that I'm going to be so glad I finally got them in the ground. So until next time, I'm going to wish everybody happy gardening.